There's no better education than getting out and seeing the world.
The experiences are what you're going to remember in the long run.
Getting out to see the world has just really opened my eyes to a lot of things.
I know a little bit about a lot of random things, and that's because of travel.
We're going to be able to learn so much about some really great destinations.
I'm excited about how this will improve our group itineraries.
I'm really looking forward to having great conversations about places. Welcome to Destination Dispatch.
Hello, everyone. Welcome indeed to Destination Dispatch. I am Taylor Kaufman, once again filling in for Jim. You will see your trustworthy Jim next week. He is enjoying a wonderful vacation. I am a support helmsman for GTO. I train and onboard our new members as well as run the help desk, so you will see my face on here from time to time. Today we are talking about Quad Cities, a wonderfully unique destination. But before we get into that, we want to remind you to, of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification bell so that you get updated every time we post new content. And then go ahead and like us on Facebook, connect with us on LinkedIn. If you find us on those socials, you can stay perfectly up to date with everything that we are up to. Now, as usual on Destination Dispatch, I am not doing this all by myself. I'm going to introduce another new face, our newest community architect, Kara. Kara, welcome.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited.
We've got some girl power going on today. But of course, as always, we also have Stevie G. He is the host of Destinations Beyond Expectations podcast. Welcome also, Stevie G.
What's up, guys? So great to see you and have you on Destination Dispatch. Kara, I know it's your first time, so I'm excited to share the screen with you.
Thank you.
New faces. Now, Stevie G, you've been to Quad Cities before, right?
I have been to the Quad Cities, and in the itinerary we're going to actually cover today, I've done almost everything on there. It's such a cool destination. It took me by surprise, honestly. I didn't know that there was so much to do, in between that section of Iowa and Illinois. It's really great. I had a blast at the casinos. I'm sure we'll talk about that. But have any of you guys been there?
I haven't. Kara, I know you kind of live up that way, right?
I live close by, but I will be honest, I have not. And now I'm going to have to go check out this itinerary. It's not that far away.
I think it's going to get us pretty excited. And here to talk about Quad Cities is Nicki. She is here from Visit Quad Cities. Welcome, Nicki. How are you today?
Hi, guys. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Of course. We are so excited to learn about your destination. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, it is a unique one. And for those that may not know, where are the Quad Cities at?
So the Quad Cities is actually a bi-state region. We are actually right along the Mississippi River on the border of Iowa and Illinois. And we are just about 2.5 hours from both the capital of Iowa, Des Moines, and Chicago, Illinois. So we're right centrally located. If you know where I-74 and 80 intersect, we're right there in the middle.
That is awesome.
So tell me a little bit. I know John Deere is like a big deal in your area, and I found that out in a really, really fun way. But can you tell the listeners a little bit more about how John Deere really plays a role in the Quad Cities and
yes,
about the experience that comes with that too?
Yes, so John Deere is definitely a big deal in this area. So he invented the self-scouring plow just a couple hours north between Chicago and here. And then in our area along the Mississippi River, the rapids were quite amazing, and Moline actually stands for Milltown. So he actually brought his factory to Moline, and ever since then we have the Deere Harvester Factory where harvesting equipment is made. We have Deere Seeding where the seeding equipment is made. We have a couple historic homes where his ancestors lived that visitors can tour. There's actually 2 on the same plantation area, and then we have a beautiful John Deere Pavilion, which is an open air pavilion that you can learn about the past, the history, future, and like current agriculture activities, all John Deere related. We also have Deere headquarters here. So yeah, Deere is definitely something you need to see when you come to our area.
And I know it employs a whole bunch of people too. Like it's a really, really important to your
yeah. Between John Deere and then we also have the Rock Island Arsenal, which is a federal working island still. Those are two of our top 5 employers here in the region. Yeah, employ a lot of people.
Very cool. I know, and as I mentioned, Rhythm City Casino is something that I got to check out, and I had a really delicious meal at Ruthie's, which was so incredible.
Yes.
But it's not the only casino in town.
No.
Talk about the casinos a little bit.
Okay, so we actually have 3 different casinos. So you got to hang out at Rhythm City, which is lovely. They're in Davenport, Iowa, and then we also have Bally's, which used to be Joomer's Casino. It's now Bally's, and that is in Rock Island. They also have wonderful food and wonderful atmosphere there. Our only 100% non-smoking casino, so they're pretty proud of that. And then we also have the Isle Casino and Resort in Bettendorf, Iowa, right on the river. We have access to the bike path. That's where some of the large river cruises, when they come in town, they dock right there. And we have this really cool open air water taxi called the Channel Cat, one of our docking locations. So all 3 of them just kind of have their own vibe, their own different types of flair at their restaurants. And so you get to pick between all 3 of them or go on all 3.
I loved it. I had such a great time when I was up there. So much
Good.
fun.
Love hearing that. I'll have to share that with their crew over there.
Nikki, what are some suggestions that you would have for student groups coming to visit Quad Cities? What kind of activities do you think should be included on an itinerary?
Yeah, so for student groups, definitely some of those John Deere attractions. We have a lot. We were actually talking about this before we started. We have a lot of FFAs that come through, student groups, making sure they get to the pavilion, and then Harvester Works when their tours start back up, making sure they go through there and kind of learn the history of agriculture in our region. And we also have this amazing farm in Donahue, a smaller town right outside of the Quad Cities. And it's actually a robotic dairy farm. And John and Joan Maxwell own it, and they really immerse them in everything on the farm. They get to see equipment being worked. They do cheese tastings, all kinds of stuff. But those, and then a lot of people wouldn't know, but the Quad Cities, we have really amazing art and music in this region too. So it's definitely an area that they can come. Their music, students and traveling around, it's a place that they can immerse themselves in music or find an opportunity to perform too.
Do you have performance options that groups, like let's say a band group or a choir group came to Quad Cities to do any kind of performance? Are there any opportunities like that groups could do?
Yeah, we do have a couple regionally and then just a little outside, but we're kind of a big show choir community. And 2 of our local show choirs I know do a Midwest tournament here too, because it's not a tournament, but yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. But they do
a competition, right?
A competition. Thank you. I have a show choir kid, and why could I not think of that word? But yes, we do have kind of a Midwest competition here that could be of interest.
So fun.
Yeah.
Now, Nikki, I know you mentioned a couple of relative destinations when you're talking about where you guys are. How easy is it to get out there?
It's actually very easy to get out here. So we are actually centrally located within 6 hours of about 500,000 people. Or 37 million people, and we make up 500,000 people. So really I-74, like I said earlier, and I-80 kind of makes a little quadrant in our area. 6-hour drive through right in the middle to a lot of Americans. And then we also have the Quad City International Airport. So if you are not in that 6-hour range, you can still get here with an international airport. So I think we're fairly easy to be found, and come visit.
That is pretty convenient.
Yeah.
So, and my apologies if we've already covered this, but can you talk a little bit about each, of the Quad Cities? Can you name them so people might put a name to the location? And then
so yes and no.
Okay.
So real answer is Our name is kind of a misdemeanor. So you think 4 with quad, but we're actually 5 larger communities and 53 total. So I don't think you want me to name all 53 in an hour podcast.
So right now, let's go. Start.
But the main 5 I could name for you. So Moline, Illinois, East Moline, Illinois, Rock Island, Illinois, Davenport, Iowa, and Bettendorf, Iowa are our largest metropolitan areas of the region. But then, like I said, we have about 53 total smaller communities making up about those 500,000 people.
So where does that name Quad Cities come from then? What's the origin of that?
So it does come from the original 4. Bettendorf, Iowa, and East Moline, Illinois, originally were very, very industrial heavy. And as Bettendorf kind of started to get more people living there and more things to do there, East Moline kind of got shafted and they kind of just got combined with Moline, even though that was the 5, because no one liked Quint Cities. It didn't sound right. I think it was late 70s, early 80s. They tried to market that and it didn't go well. So for a while, we just kind of had this running joke that, yeah, we're 5, but we just don't know how to count. You know, we just kind of made fun of it and made it lighthearted, but really we're about 53. And we really want people to know that.
I don't think 53 cities rolls off the tongue quite as
No,
much.
it does not. They're just Quint, you know. And then we kind of make that quad too, where 74 and 80 intersect. So really a lot of the communities within that quadrant is included in our region.
And I'm wondering, is LeClaire one of those 53 cities? LeClaire, Iowa. I know
Yes,
it's
LeClaire, Iowa is. We love our LeClaire. Yes.
And you were talking about a distillery up there.
Yes.
Is that right, LeClaire?
That is in LeClaire. Yep. So you probably know who the American Pickers are. A lot of visitors do. Their first storefront is right there in LeClaire, Iowa. And then we were talking about the distillery and the breweries in this region, but we have an amazing distillery. The brothers that own that distillery did a lot of work changing legislation to make sure that we can have that distillery here in Iowa, and they continue to do great work. And yeah, it's amazing. You can have some drinks outside. You can actually tour it and learn about how they try to source things as locally as possible. They bottle as a community. The bottles are marked right there, like this is bottle 1 of whatever bottled on this date. And you can even look up the farm and figure out where the grains that you're drinking came from, what farm they came from. So it's pretty unique, and it's really exciting for us to have it in the Quad Cities.
Nicki, is there anything new and exciting that's happening in the Quad Cities area that perhaps groups don't know about yet?
Yes, actually. Well, a couple things they do know about. We'll start with that first. So the John Deere Pavilion and then the Rock Island Arsenal Museum, they are both being renovated this year. Okay. Pavilion is already open, and then the Rock Island Arsenal Museum should be open hopefully this fall, 100% renovated, which is pretty exciting. Yeah. But something new, we have a brand new I-74 bridge, which is pretty exciting. It opened in the winter, but the pedestrian bridge was pretty unique. It's the first one for the interstate that they can actually either bike or walk over. And it has this beautiful, beautiful glass oculus built into the pedestrian bridge so that you can look under and actually see the Mississippi River. Okay. So definitely visitors, they need to at least walk, or they can get free bikes in our visitor center and bike over it. I suggest that they at least do that once. It's pretty cool.
That sounds really cool.
I was going to bring up that Mississippi River culture. Is that a big part of the Quad Cities?
It is a lot of Quad Citizens, unfortunately, I think, take it for granted, but it is amazing here, and the visitors really love it. Like I said earlier, we have that open air water taxi, the Channel Cat. You can get on there. You can use that just as a boat ride, or you can use it as a means to get from downtown to downtown. We have 2 different river boats here, the Celebration Belle, where you can do a sightseeing cruise, you could do a dinner with entertainment, you can do a lunch cruise, and then there's also the riverboat Twilight out in LeClaire. So it's definitely something in this region that you should do for sure. Get on that Mississippi, that river. She's just majestic, and we really need to not take her for granted. Make sure we're on there.
What about any other outdoor opportunities, like in the area, that people can maybe go on a hike or just kind of connect with the outdoors? Anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we have several state parks in this region. We have Black Hawk State Park that has some pretty good hiking. Several parks that you could do like off-road biking. We have over 100 miles of bike paths where you can walk along the riverfront. Connects all of the Quad Cities together, or again, rent a bike, bring your own bike and go biking along there. But yeah, we have a lot of opportunities. Some of our unique parks, Sunderbrook Park in Davenport, they have some really amazing off-roading trails, as well as horse trails too. So definitely a lot of opportunities to get outdoors here. Kayaking along the river, lots to do.
Amazing. Now, as far as accommodations go, like you said, you got 53 cities. Do you have any advice for groups coming as far as where to stay?
Well, what I usually do as a group tour manager here, I usually ask the questions of my group, and I'm happy to send out a lead for them and ask the right questions. We have over 6,000 room nights available here. The Isle Casino that we talked about earlier is actually the largest hotel in the whole state of Iowa. So we have several opportunities, but I'm happy to chat with group planners and send out a lead to make sure that we find that perfect place for them. But we have so many different opportunities, small boutique properties right on the river, larger convention centers in our downtowns that overlook the river. We have a lot of different accommodations, and we can make sure that we find the right fit for them.
Do you have any recommendations on places where people should go to eat, or is there anything that Quad Cities is known for as far as people should go out and try as far as food goes?
Yes to both. I have lots of favorites. We actually do have a really good culinary scene for a second tier city. We have some pretty amazing food here. Couple of things that we are known for. We actually have our own type of pizza. We have a Quad City style pizza, and a lot of people don't know that. If you don't know what Quad City style pizza is, it is actually scissor cut. The dough is a little bit fluffier of a dough. It's a malt dough, and our sausage is a fennel sausage. So if you can imagine a big pizza, not quite New York style pizza, but a large pizza, fluffy crust, a little bit sweet with the malt, cut with scissors in long skinny pieces instead of triangle pieces. And then that sausage has just a little bit of a spice to it. That's Quad City style pizza.
Okay.
Yeah, so definitely that.
Is it true that you also put your toppings under the cheese?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. The cheese is on top. Yes.
Like I'd open my box and be like, where's
what is this? Yeah,
exactly.
The taco pizza. Some people look at me weird when I'm like, "Oh, I love taco pizza." That was actually invented here in the Quad Cities. So yeah,
I love taco pizza.
Now.
Yeah, I know. Now you're hungry, huh?
Hey, Nicki, what's something that you think if you could tell more groups to include this on their itinerary? What's something that more groups should be adding to their trip in the Quad Cities that they're maybe not looking at as closely?
Right. Well, I kind of said the river already, but definitely the river. But something unique is our Rock Island Arsenal. It kind of got a bad rap after 9/11 with the security clearance. A lot of groups, I think it's so difficult to get on because it is a federal island, but really it isn't. Our commander here, it wants the island to have visitors, and they make it a very easy, quick process if it's a group that's working with us here at Visit Quad Cities and we know that they're utilizing the visitor experiences on the island. And there's so much to do on there. We have both a national and Confederate cemetery. We have the second largest government-owned home next to the White House, which is Colonel Davenport's home, that can be toured. And then we also have the museum I mentioned earlier that's going to be remodeled. And they're doing some amazing behind-the-scenes tours for me right now while they're not opened. And then we also have the largest lock and dam in the world, Lock and Dam 15, which is home to the Army Corps of Engineers. All of that right there is on the Rock Island Arsenal. So that could be a full day for a group just to spend and immerse themselves in the history of the Army and our region and the river. So that's definitely something I think people should include in their itineraries more often.
Wow, you guys seem to have a little bit of everything.
We really do. We really do.
Such great information. We want to continue the conversation, but as we do every week, first we have a quick message about our partners.
Group Travel Odyssey would like to take a moment to thank our amazing partners, including Book My Group, Travel Advocates, We Travel, Broadway Inbound, and Fly My Group. These partnerships help make business without boundaries possible, and we encourage our viewers to learn more about these wonderful companies. Now, back to Destination Dispatch.
And welcome back to the show once more, where we are talking about Quad Cities. Now, Nicki, you have provided us with a bit of a sample group itinerary, and Kara is going to walk us through that with you. Take it away.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So to find this itinerary, you can go into the GTO system and go to, oops, I had it there, Sales Manager. And I actually already have this open, but let's go back. Sorry about that. It's taking a minute, sorry. Had everything all set up.
While she's setting that up, Nicki, I wanted to ask you a little bit about
There we go.
the QC That's Where campaign. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So we just, it was right before the pandemic. So now it seems so weird saying 3 years ago. So right before the pandemic, we did this amazing strategic plan in this area. And we learned that we need more brand ambassadors in our area. And we really need to get out there and let everybody know what the Quad Cities are. And with that, instead of being asked the question, okay, well, what is the Quad Cities? Or where is the Quad Cities? We have this really super cool, fun campaign that Visit Quad Cities teamed with our local Quad Cities Chamber, and it's called the QC That's Where campaign. So instead of asking us where it's at, we fill in the blanks. Our locals fill in the blanks, and our brand ambassadors for us. So QC That's Where the largest roller dam is in the world. QC That's Where we're home of John Deere. So it's a really fun campaign that's really getting our name out there, and hopefully we'll start bringing more visitors in with just brand awareness. So
Very cool. Awesome.
yeah,
right.
It's really fun.
Sorry about that. Got the itinerary up and running for everybody to see. So Nicki, if you could walk us through each day of this itinerary and the different activities that are on here. I see the morning of day one, we tour Isabel Bloom showroom and factory, and Docent led tour. And I'm going to probably pronounce this incorrectly, so I'm sorry. Is it Fig Art Museum?
It's Figgy Art Museum.
I was going to say
But
that,
close.
and I wasn't
Nice
sure.
try.
So if you could tell us a little bit about both of those activities, that would be wonderful.
Sure. So a lot of people who know Iowa probably know of a gentleman named Grant Wood. He was a famous Iowan artist, and he had a colony of artists where he taught at. And Miss Isabel Bloom actually was an attendee there, and she decided after her schooling she wanted to become a famous artist, but she did not want to be the traditional painter of the time. So Isabel Bloom is actually this really amazing factory and showroom where everything is built by or made by hand from local Quad citizens here right in Iowa, and it's all made with cement. So there's some really beautiful sculptures, and Donna is the new artist. She studied under Isabel, just like Isabel studied under Grant Wood, and she has taken Isabel's concept to the whole new level. Instead of just being the traditional gray cement of the statues that you would put out in your garden, Donna has brought color into it. They have a whole showroom where you can tour and be just a couple feet from the artist and learn about the process from going from wax all the way to cement and paint. And it's really immersive. And then it's a whole store now too. So
Okay.
yeah,
Very
from
cool.
candles to bath and body products to all of the sculptures. It's a really amazing tour.
Okay, awesome. And what about the art museum?
And the art museum, we are actually lucky enough to have a very large, beautiful, it's actually a glass building right on the waterfront, downtown Davenport, Iowa. And they do some very, very amazing different educational sessions, and the docents are just informative there. It's a beautiful building and full of beautiful artwork, some different Tiffany glasses in there, as well as some of Grant Wood's Iowa Iowa known. And yeah, just a wonderful, wonderful exhibit there.
Very cool. And then it looks like in the afternoon, we're going to try that Quad City style pizza you talked about earlier.
Yes. Yeah.
And then if you could pronounce to me the Mustard Museum.
Well, come on. I want you to try that one too.
I'm going to try. And I actually have a feeling maybe I have checked this out before. Is it Bogies?
So close. Yes. Bogies. Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
And then I assume, tell me a little bit about the Mustard Museum.
So Bogies mustard is actually a stone ground mustard, and that's made right here in the Quad Cities. And I'm sure you have probably tasted it before, served up with, big pretzels a lot of times.
Yeah.
It's actually beat Grey Poupon a couple times in like different mustard tastings, but that's built, the factory, it's real small, family owned. It's a dad and son team. They bottle, they make it, they do everything right here in the Quad Cities, and you get to actually go back there, see what they do to make sure the standards are up to par, how they bottle it, and do a little tasting.
Sure. And then it sounds like Chocolate Manor, which sounds amazing. And I really would love to go check that out because I love chocolate. What do they do there?
So the Chocolate Manor, again, a wonderful family-owned company here in the Quad Cities, and your group will be divided in half. Half will go into the back with the mother, and she is the chocolatier, and she actually does a demonstration that your guests could then take back home. So a lot of times, maybe it's a little chocolate bowl or a little chocolate flower that they could create at home to dish up some ice cream or put with a family meal or something like that. And then the other half is actually out in the storefront, and they're getting a small lecture about why Belgian chocolate is more unique and a little bit tastier than other types of chocolates. And then they do a little shopping and some sampling as well.
That sounds
I am down for any tour with samples.
I know. And then I see after that, it says that you're touring the Quad Cities Botanical Center for a chocolate or botanical bliss tour. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I really love combining the Chocolate Manor demonstration and then the Quad City Botanical Center. We have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful botanical center with both indoor and outdoor gardens. But in the indoor garden, we have a couple cocoa trees. So with the chocolate tour, they'll actually get the whole tour of all the gardens, so they're not missing out on anything. But then they just stop at the cocoa trees for just a little bit longer, and the docent explains to them where chocolate actually comes from. A lot of people know, it was cocoa and then it becomes chocolate, but it comes from a tree and how, the whole process. And they talk about that a little bit more. And then after the garden tours, they go back out front and then they do a little sampling, have some tea and coffee, and they can just continue that conversation of what they learned about how chocolate is made. So it just kind of goes really well with the Chocolate Manor.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And then we end our day.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was just going to say the Botanical Bliss one is the same concept. It's a garden tour, but then it's kind of talking about how plants, medicine, essential oils, all of that derived from plants. So just a different concept of an educational tour that they can take in the gardens.
Yeah, that's awesome for sure.
Yeah.
And then it sounds like you end the day with a dinner and a professional show at the historic Circa 21 Diner and Theater.
Yes. So Circa 21 was actually opened in 1921, hence its name. And it is a professional dinner theater that we have here in the Quad Cities. Talent from all over New York City, Chicago. The costumes are all handmade. Beautiful, beautiful historic theater. Right now we have Beauty and the Beast running, and her dress is just amazing. But they have dinner, and it's one of the only dinner theaters still in the United States where your wait staff actually do a performance before the main stage attraction. So that's kind of fun.
That is amazing. I actually have a musical theater background, Nikki. I know quite a few people who have worked at Circa 21.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. That's right here.
What kind of performance does the staff put on before the actual show?
So usually what it is, it's about a 15, 20-minute preview of all of the shows that are coming up throughout the year. So it's kind of like, sometimes it's satire comedy and they're making fun of like what's coming up. And sometimes it's just like a song from each. But yeah, it just depends on the season. But it's usually kind of a preview of what you can come back and see.
Okay, that's awesome. So it's basically like live action previews that you'd see at the movie theater.
Well, pretty much, yeah. Yep.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
Okay, and then day 2, it looks like we spend the morning in LeClaire, Iowa.
Yes, yeah, and
And
we've touched on that just a little bit. So,
yeah,
yep, we are home to the American Pickers. A lot of people probably know that name from the History Channel.
yeah.
But their first storefront is out in LeClaire, Iowa. It's called Antique Archaeology, along with a lot of super cute boutiques and a lot of super cute little antique shops out there. That's also where the distillery that we were talking about earlier, that's where Mississippi River Distilling is located as well.
Okay.
The Buffalo Bill Museum in Homestead. It's a large history museum, has an old steam wheel that you can actually walk into and look at, some of the old river boats. And then we also have Green Tree Brewery, which is part of our Quad City Ale Trail. We have over 17 local breweries here in the Quad Cities that participate in this ale trail, and that is one of them. And then one of my favorite restaurants, the Crane and Pelican. Chef Mandy is absolutely amazing. She's an award-winning chef, and her restaurant is actually in a old river pilot home, which sits up on top of the bluff. River pilots would always, want to make sure they have the eye on the water. And her restaurant's located in one of those old homes.
Okay. So what kind of food do they serve there?
So it's mostly American food, but pastas, sandwiches.
Okay.
Sometimes she'll have like a meatloaf, and it does fluctuate, but really good American food.
Very cool. And then we spend the afternoon at the Rock Island Arsenal. Which you mentioned earlier as well. So if you want to tell us a little bit about that again, that would be great.
Yes, sure. Of course. Yes. So usually when you book with us, I try to get one of the attractions to do a little bit of a drive around tour as well. There's a lot of larger equipment that cannot be housed in the museum, like tanks and different things like that. So a historian or one of our guides from the museum or the Lock and Dam will drive your guest around, do a in-depth history of the island, as well as tour the Lock and Dam that I told you about earlier. It's the largest roller dam in the world. Visit the Mississippi River Visitor Center and learn a little bit more about the upper Mississippi River, as well as tour Colonel Davenport's home or Quarters 1.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. These all sound like great activities.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and I'm not very far away, so I need to check everything out.
Well, call me anytime. I'll show you around.
Awesome. And then it's live dinner and entertainment aboard Celebration Bell. I'm assuming, is that like a dinner cruise?
Yes. So Celebration Bell, she is the largest non-gaming riverboat vessel on the upper Mississippi River.
Okay.
She can fit about 750 people on her 4 decks, and they do several different tours. They do sightseeing cruises. They do 3-hour lunch cruises that have a theme. The captain's narrated lunch cruise, where he is talking about what you're seeing. You do see a dock and you see the Rock Island Arsenal. But for this specific itinerary, I have the dinner entertainment, which are themed. So sometimes it's like big band, sometimes it's Elvis, sometimes they have dueling pianos. She has all kinds of amazing themes, and they get a buffet dinner, which includes hand-cut prime rib that the family makes right there on board. Okay. And then they get to dance and enjoy some drinks and enjoy the evening on the river.
Very nice. And then nightcap, is it UP or is it Up Sky Bar?
We call it Up Sky Bar.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And one of our beautiful boutique properties, we do have a Sky Bar, and they have some really amazing drinks and small plates. So it's just a beautiful view at night during sunset. So we have a couple different ones in the Quad Cities. So I always like taking my visitors there at the end of the day, have a nightcap, see the sunset, and it's a beautiful view.
Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah.
And then on the last day, we end our trip in John Deere country, visiting the John Deere Pavilion and the historic, the historic mansions. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so the John Deere Pavilion is an open air pavilion that we have here in the Quad Cities. There are it fluctuates throughout the year, but there are some different equipment that you can climb on, take a selfie in, and see just how massive these pieces of equipment are. They just got done remodeling, and some of the walls are interactive, so you can touch the wall and learn about the pieces of the John Deere history, the company and the man himself. And kind of make your your tour what you want it to be. You can immerse yourself as much as you want. And we also have the John Deere store on site there. So like literally anything and everything John Deere that you can think of, a popcorn, a keychain, toys, right on toys for kids, literally anything you can think John Deere you can buy at the store almost.
Very cool.
Yeah, and then the Deere, Wyman, and Butterworth Center historic mansions are actually homes that some of Deere's descendants lived in.
Okay.
You can tour both of those homes, and they are seriously amazing. They're beautiful.
Very cool. And then we have our afternoon. We do farm to table lunch and robotic dairy farm tour at Cinnamon Ridge Farms. Tell me about the farm to table lunch that they offer.
Yes. So the Maxwells own Cinnamon Ridge Dairy Farm. That's actually a robotic dairy farm. So they welcome you into their home, and they are transitioning from meals a little bit to doing some of the cheese and wine pairings.
Okay.
You can either have lunch or dinner right there in their home. They actually have this large table that fits about 50 people.
Okay.
And a whole motor coach can sit and dine with them, or they can when they're overlooking the cows, they actually are tasting the cheese that is made right there on the farm. And then his cousin on another farm makes the wine. So they're actually tasting wine and cheese that are both made regionally. So it's a great tour. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we stop at the Iowa 80 Trucking Museum, which is the world. Is the Trucking Museum part of the world's largest truck stop as well?
Yep.
Okay.
It's on the same property. Yep. So I usually pair those up since they're walkable. They're right there. So the family that owns the Trucking Museum, they will walk them through and tell them some of the history of the different trucks that are on there. They have an opportunity to do a little shopping, and then I usually leave them a little free time at the world's largest truck stop so they can get their selfies, a couple of different places to eat, grab a little ice cream and different things like that, just to say that you've been there and get a really cool picture at the world's largest truck stop. Because a lot of people don't realize that it's right here in the Quad Cities. So you have to at least make a stop.
Well, this is a great itinerary to check out, and I might have to snag it and just go with my family to
of course,
go see it.
Yes, that's what it's there for. Use it.
It's one of those little hidden gem areas that you don't always think about, and now I'm ready to go.
Come see us.
It seems like you guys have art, food, history, a little bit of everything. I love the feel. It feels like Americana. I love how many family-owned businesses you talked about there. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Nicki, for introducing us to the Quad Cities. Where can people find you online?
So our website is visitquadcities.com. We are also on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Facebook is Quad Cities, and all the others are Visit Quad Cities. So you can check us out there. We're also on YouTube, or you could just give us a call as well. So I can send you our 1-800 number if you'd like that as well. But at visitquadcities.com, you can find everything right there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Nicki.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
See you, Nicki.
Bye.
Alrighty. Now, again, we want to remind you to subscribe to us on YouTube so you get to see these every single week. We've got Coach and Go on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, and of course our Destination Dispatch here on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you're subscribing to our YouTube channel and hitting that notification bell so you get notified when those go up. You can also like us on Facebook, connect on LinkedIn, all of our socials. Let's get it going and get those updates for you.
And as a reminder, to learn more about Group Travel Odyssey, please visit our website at grouptravelelodyssey.com.
Very cool. And I'll just quickly mention, as I do every week, I have a travel podcast, Destinations Beyond Expectations. It's the podcast designed for students of travel. You can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, really anywhere you can get podcasts. You can even check out the website, dvetravel.com. This week, the episode features the U.S. Virgin Islands and actually talks about an island that isn't one of the main islands. So you'll want to check out to see what that island is. It's a really cool, kind of hidden gem out there in the islands. So
absolutely, I know where I'm going to be spending my winter this year.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Well, that is all for now. Thank you for joining us on Destination Dispatch, and we will see you all next week.
Thank you for watching this episode of Destination Dispatch. We invite you to stay connected with Group Travel Odyssey on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, And be sure to check out more of our media, including GTO Coach and Go and the Destinations Beyond Expectations podcast. Please visit our website, grouptravelodyssey.com, where you can learn more about GTO and request a demo. Group Travel Odyssey, business without boundaries.